It's a common trend nowadays for manufacturing companies to try to digitalize their process and to substitute paper and actually improve the way the information is flowing from the shop floor to the management team. And that's really interesting. That's really important because this way you can have more information about your process. You can have more information about what's happening on the shop floor with the operators. You know how the operators are working. You can improve the way you analyze your scraps. You can reduce your scraps. You can reduce your waste, and you can improve your quality. And the most important thing is that you actually protect your process and you protect your end quality with by being able to take decisions quickly, understanding what's happening on your shop floor. And that's why many manufacturing companies decide to invest in a digital tool. And the digital tools that allow the operators to write, to substitute the paper and write there, the quality controls that they're doing, are not always cream and honey. They're not always easy to implement. Why? Because most of the times people resist change. People don't like to change. People like to stay the same. People don't like, if you know that there is an operator that works 10, 15, 20 years in a company and he's doing the things his own way, he will resist taking a new digital tool and working in a different way, even if the digital tool is smart. However, what we want to do, we want we want to make sure that the digital tools are helping the operators and making their life easier instead of complicating their lives. Because if they understand that the digital tool is complicating his life, he make him work more, he make him more search for information elsewhere, and it's gonna make him create more stress for him. He's gonna resist even more. If on the other side is more evident, is undeniable that this tool is helping him, is giving him information quickly, and he make him feel more in control of what he's doing, he's gonna want to adopt it. So basically, how I see it is that the digital tool. So what makes a digital tool easier versus what makes it harder? And of course, when you're an operator and the digital tool helps you find information quickly, and for example, the drawings, all the details you need to know about your process or about the quality controls you're doing. If it helps you feel more in control of what you're doing, if it gives you feedback about the controls, if you give you the right information that you need, and if it's straightforward, for example, it's easy for you to implement, it's easier, even easier than the paper, then you are going to want to implement it. On the other side, if the digital system requires more work for you, if it adds unnecessary steps or requires you to duplicate information, search information elsewhere, and actually make your life more difficult, you're going to resist it. And actually, you're going to be right to resist it because you don't want to work more for unnecessary reasons. And what I have seen a lot, and actually it makes a little bit of sense if you think about it, that most of the companies, when they want to implement a new solution, they go for plug and play solutions about the digital transformation, right? And it makes sense. It's something that is tested on different companies, and it's something that you you may see feedback on it, and you know it's tested. And sometimes it's also easy to justify it in the management team. And you buy a plug and play solution, and of course in the beginning it's easy to implement because it's tested and you kind of know that it's going to work. But there are some drawbacks with the plug and play solutions, and the first drawback is that many times it's too generic. And I have a theory about processes. I think that every single factory and every single manufacturing has its own process that is developed from years of experience, and depends on the product, depends on how the people work, and depends on also the experience and everything that they have learned from all the years of working. And so you can't what can I say? You can't really find a solution that works for everyone. And if you can take something general, what's going to happen? It's that it's not going to be time optimized, which means that you may want to adapt your system to the product, to the digital tool, and it's not the other way around. And this will create a lot of it will create unnecessary steps, because if you have learned to work in a way, and the digital tool makes you work in a different way, that's going to slow you down. So what you want as an alternative is that the system is going to adapt to your process, so that you don't have to change the way you work. And that's the most unfortunate thing I've seen, is that when people implement digital tools, and then instead of helping them, they do the quality controls, right? And what they do is that they write down the quality controls on a piece of paper, and because it's difficult for them to write down directly, and then they bring them to the digital tool. And that's such a waste of time. And this is an example of what the operators are going to regret and going to resist. We want to make their life as easy as possible. If this is happening, if someone has to take to write down the for example the information on a piece of paper and then bring them to the system, this is an example of something that's not really working. The other thing about the plug and play solutions is that they have rigid data loading. They have to be created for many different factories, and they have to be created for many different processes. And so usually they're not going to be able to take data from your different Excel files, your different drawings, your different specifications. And you probably what you're going to do is that you're going to have to insert data on their own platform, which means duplicate information. You have your process control plan, and you have to take it, and you have to bring the information on a specific on a specific environment, which means duplicate information, which means you need to hire a person that's going to do that. And of course, since they're not going to be able to take information from all the different sources they're using, you need to keep doing the manual searching, because you may not be able to save the drawings on your system. You may not be able to save all the different details, the nodes, and so the operator needs to search this information elsewhere. So two things: too generic and rigid data loading. And this is the reason why everybody that works with me, I prefer to go for something tailor-made, because I can adapt the system to their process, and I can give them the information that they need immediately, and I can optimize the tool for their own system, so that they waste as little time as possible. And but there are two things that happen when you have tailor-made versus plug and play. It has to do the effort that is put with time. So when you take a plug and play solution, it's true that in the beginning it's going to be easy, because it's tested already. You're not really going to require a lot of time to set it up. And in the beginning, it's going to be easy. With the time, especially for the operator, as he starts learning to do it, of course he's going to have he's going to learn. It's going to be easier, but still he's going to waste time in doing unnecessary steps. It's going to be it's going to have its difficulties, and he's going to search information elsewhere. He may still need to write things on paper and transport it in the system. and it's not gonna be optimal, but it's gonna be something in the between. It's gonna be something in between challenging and super optimal. And for the supervisor, how it's gonna be is that in the beginning it's gonna be easy, of course, to implement. And may need to learn it, but then as the time goes by, they, especially if they have different and complicated specifications, they will need to um, they will need to maintain it, and that's going to be difficult. And maybe the maintenance of these dashboards with time is going to require more and more and more effort. How it goes with the tailor-made solutions on the other side? On the other side, on the tailor-made solutions, in the beginning, they are going to be a nightmare. They're going to be difficult because you need to design it from the beginning. It may have a lot of bugs. It may have a lot of issues you have to think about. But when the time goes by, and while the system is going to get improving from the feedback of the factory, it's going to get more and more and more optimized. The bugs are going to get resolved. And in the end, as the time goes by, it's going to be easier both for the operator because it's going to fit exactly the way he needs it to be, but also for the supervisor because the supervisor doesn't will not really need to do any maintenance. He will just have, for example, to write the information in on the process control plan, and the system will take it automatically from there, or store the drawings in the folder that he's already using, and the system is going to be taking there. And so that there are the two different solutions. And for my side, when someone works with me, I always go for the plug and play solution. I created something that is adapted to their system and helps them save as much time as possible, be as efficient as possible, and require the least amount of maintenance as possible. But what we have to think about is not um, or plug and play or tailor made. There are two different things, but the most important thing is to ask what we really need. Do we need something tested? Do we need something that is already tested in different factories, and something reliable and something that we can rely from its experience? And even if it doesn't fit exactly to what we need, or do we need something that will be created for us? It will require a little bit of energy in the beginning from us, but in the end, it's going to be something that is optimized for our process and require as less time as possible for us. And that's something that we need to think about. But on the side, it also has to do about the quality. And right now, I'm going to explain you a little bit like what is the different, what are the different qualities of the digital tools, and what's the difference between a challenging one that is going to be resisted from the operators, and one that is going to help them actually. And if you're seeing in this rule, this is exactly what I'm really talking about right now. Okay, this is an example. Let's make it a little bit bigger on this side. Okay, this is an example of a difficult digital tool, right? So what you're gonna see here is that you manually write the codes. For example, like you have the uh, program of the production, and you manually write all the code that you need to produce, instead of taking all the information from the ERP and making your life easier. Another thing is the language. If you are in Italy, in England, in Greece, you may have only one language, and basically what's going to happen is it's better if you have different languages, because maybe you want to bring in different factories or in other countries, or maybe you have different operators that prefer different languages. It's very common for many different factories have a multinational environment. They have people from Morocco, from Italy, from locals that are going to work on the system. The other thing is search elsewhere for drawings. So if you do your quality controls and you have your digital tool, and basically this digital tool doesn't allow you to open the drawing of the specific code, and you have to search it elsewhere in different folders, you have to stamp it, you have to search for different ways. This is where you lose time, right? You want your digital tool to have your drawings on the spot and be readily available when you really need it. Another thing is what I explained before. When you duplicate information in the system, you have your process control plan, but the digital tool doesn't take information from the process control plan, but you really need to duplicate this information in its own platform, and that with time can add up a lot of information, especially if you have new codes, if you have complicated production, and this is going to be a nightmare for any supervisor to do. Another thing is the feedback. When I do a quality control, I want to be able to receive feedback immediately. For example, you see here that there's dimension 155 more or less zero point 0.4. If I exceed this dimension, I need to know that we are outside of the limits. And on the other side, I want to know if we are inside the limits, that to have a green flag, something to tell me that we are working correctly. And or another thing is that if I get confused and instead of 10.2, I write 102 to tell me you made a mistake, to not let me write this information. And the third thing is not having any alerts, for example. For if you see that there is a mistake in the line and you have a lot of reds, you want to be able to receive information, receive alerts on the spot. If your system doesn't allow you to send alerts on the spot, this is something that is not very helpful in the end of the day. So this is an example, like for what I see from my experience, of a system that is not difficult, and it's going to make the operator resist it, because you look here how much more information the people need to know. Isn't it much better to just have it's more or less like a paper, but more information. This doesn't really help the operator find information easily. If you look about a good digital tool, this is what I prefer to do with people that work with me. Is first and foremost, you take the codes that you need to produce at the day from the ERP automatically, or from Excel file, or from wherever this information is stored. So nobody can make mistakes. Nobody has to search information elsewhere. Nobody has to stop what they're doing to search for information. Another thing that for me is very important is have the drawing automatically available. When I know that there is the code one, I need to be able to click a button and automatically find the drawing without searching for it, without going in different folders, without having to stamp it. It's going to be readily available. You save so much time. On the other side, translation in multiple languages, especially if you want to apply this system to multiple factories. Let's say that you have a factory in China, in Italy, or in Greece. You may want to have the system and someone clicks the buttons and translate automatically in their own language. And this can be helpful. Something I have seen is that many times in factories, you may have people that work from different countries there, and they may not be able to read the local language. I have seen it also. So if this is the case and they use it as an excuse, the people, you just translate it. You just have the system has to be translated in the language that they also prefer, so that it's going to be easier. Some people may not be able to understand the local language, may be able to speak English, or if they come from Africa, for example, we want to help them and give the information they need in their own language. With the AI right now, you can translate to every single language right now in the world. Another thing dimensions, all the measurements that you take, um, all the tolerances, they need to come from the process control plan or from a file that is as easily maintainable as possible. You don't want to have a specific platform that you enter all your dimensions and you need to maintain. It has to require zero maintenance. Everything has to come from the process control plan or from your drawings or from whatever is easier to access to. Direct feedback. If one measurement is outside of control, we need to be able to show that it's red, green, or if someone wrote a mistake, for example, 102 instead of 10.2, we need to show it. We need to be easy. Otherwise, you're going to collect wrong data and you're not going to be able to be efficient. And another thing, you need to be able, when something is wrong, to be able to receive an automatic email, an alert, something that tells you directly at the time that there is a problem, or you want the operator to be able to tell you that there is a problem. Click a button and send you an email, send you a notification, or call you immediately. And that for me is the difference between a good digital tool and a bad digital tool. Okay, something that people are going to resist. And and if I summarize, the bad digital tool is going to require much more effort for the operator and for the supervisor, and it's not going to give them, it's not going to make their life easier. As you see here, it doesn't really make your life easier. It doesn't really give you any information to help you do your work more quickly. On this side, if you go on this digital, the good digital tool, it gives you the information from the production, from the ERP. It gives you from the process control plan. It gives you access to the drawing. It gives you feedback. It allows you to email immediately your supervisor and tell him that there is a problem in the production. It allows you to translate this thing into multiple languages. So this is something that is helpful, and this is something that's more sustainable on the long run. So I will summarize what I said, and I will let you go for now. So many companies like to take plug and play solutions. I think it has to do with what you really need. The problem, what I have seen, is that sometimes it's too generic and it slows down your process and may not be optimized for the specific process you're doing, and also may have some unnecessary steps. And also, you need to pay attention to the data load if it's rigid, because if it's rigid, it's going to require a lot of maintenance and it's going to require more manual searching, and it's not going to be very helpful for you in the long run. The difference between a different alternative to that is a tailor-made solution. Something that I do for the people that I work for is that instead of having something generic that you buy, you create something specific for your application. So you have time optimization, and in this case, with a plug and play solution, it may be easier in the beginning, but it's gonna be harder in the long run. In with the tailor-made solution, it's gonna be more difficult in the beginning, but after 6 months or after 1, 2, 3, 6, or 1 year, it's going to be much easier and much more optimized. And it's going to be adapted much easier. The difference between what's a difficult digital tool versus a good digital tool is that the difficult digital tool requires you to write a lot of information manually. It doesn't take information from the ERP. It requires you to duplicate information in the system. It doesn't give you details, drawings. It doesn't give you extra information that you may need to do your job. It doesn't give you feedback. It's only in one language, and it doesn't have any automatic alerts. On the other side, if you go for a good digital tool, you get information from your ERP. You have information about your drawings and about your process immediately. you have feedback, you have information from your process control plan automatically updated for you. That's the most important thing. You want to you don't want the person to duplicate information. You pay this person. If you buy a system that doesn't really allow you to do that, you're going to be forever a person that's going to duplicate information. That's a lot of money. That's going to cost a lot of money. It allows you to send automatically emails in case of alert and translate to different languages. There's many things that you can add here. And what I see is that a perfect system, a very good system, is going to be something that's going to be adapted to your process, and it's going to minimize the time that you will require to register your quality controls. And that's for now. As I told you, I do a lot of customization and customized quality tools. And if you want to learn more about it, let me know. You can message me, you can text me on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and you can ask for more information. I will really happy to help you and go through things together. So let you know for now, and let me know for those that are watching if you have any questions. I'm able to respond any questions you have. Otherwise, I will close. And also let me know if you would like to have this presentation for yourself. If you want to have this presentation, if you want me to send you this presentation, right, send me on the comments and I will send you. So I will close you for now. If you have any questions, write down in the comments, and see you in the next live. I hope